Hello everyone, got a few dirty jokes for you today. So in a trial, a southern small-town prosecuting attorney called his first witness, a 90-year-old local woman, to the stand. He approached her and asked, "Mrs. Jones, do you know me?" She responded, "Why, yes, I do know you, Mr. Williams. I've known you since you were a young boy, and frankly, you've been a big disappointment to me. You lie, you cheat on your wife, and you manipulate people and talk about them behind their backs. You think you're a big shot when you haven't the brains to realize you never will amount to anything more than a 2-bit paper pusher." "Yes, I know you." The lawyer was stunned. Not knowing what else to do, he pointed across the room and asked, "Mrs. Jones, do you know the defense attorney?" She again replied, "Why, yes, I do. I've known Mr. Bradley since he was a youngster, too. He's lazy, bigoted, and he has a drinking problem. He can't build a normal relationship with anyone, and his law practice is one of the worst in the entire state. Not to mention he cheated on his wife with 3 different women. One of them was your wife." "Yes, I know him." The defense attorney almost died. The judge asked both counselors to approach the bench and, in a very quiet voice, said, "If either of you idiots asks her if she knows me, I'll send you both to the electric chair." So a Frenchman, an Italian, and a Russian all end up in hell. The Frenchman begs to make one last call home to see how his family is coping. The devil says, "Fine, it'll cost you an extra 1,000 years in the flames." The Frenchman agrees and tearfully listens to his wife doing his brother. The Italian begs to call home to see how his daughters are doing. "That'll be an extra 1,000 years in the flaming pit," says the devil. "So be it," says the Italian, and weeps as he listens to his children selling the farm. "Now I want to call home," says the Russian, and grabs the receiver. He hears his neighbors robbing his house. "How much is that?" he asks the devil, who replies that it costs nothing. "How dare you?" shouts the Russian. "You took 1,000 agonizing years off the frog and the eye. What's wrong? Is my pain not good enough for you?" "No, no," says the devil. "Local calls are free." So a Turk, a Frenchman, and an Englishman were traveling by train. When it got hot in their room in the train, the Frenchman opened the window and a fly flew in. To show his skill, the Frenchman drew his sword and hit the fly with one blow, and it split in 2. While the others looked on in amazement, the Frenchman took his business card out of his pocket and handed it to the Englishman and Turk. And it said the best swordsman in France. Seeing this, the Englishman immediately opened the window and another fly flew in. He drew his bow and threw an arrow. The fly got stuck to the wall. He took out his business card from his pocket and it said the best archer in England. Then the Turk opened the window. Another fly came in. Turk took his knife out of his pocket and threw it at the fly. The fly fell to the ground and after a few minutes and flew back. Seeing this, the Englishman and the Frenchman burst out laughing, and the Turk took his business card out of his pocket and gave it to the Englishman and the Frenchman. Fastest circumciser in Turkey. So at a religious school, a teacher asks her preschool class which part of their body they think goes to heaven first. "I think it's your hands," a boy answers. "Why is that?" the teacher asks. "Because when you pray, you put your hands in front of you," the boy explains. "Very good answer," the teacher compliments. "Does anyone else have another answer?" "I think it's your legs," a girl replies. "Why is that?" the teacher asks. "Because," the girl explains, "last night, when I walked into Mommy and Daddy's room, Mommy had her legs high up in the air and was screaming, "Oh God, I'm coming. I'm coming." If Daddy was lying on top of her holding her down, God might have taken her. So a man joins a big corporate empire as a trainee. On his very first day of work, he dials the pantry and shouts into the phone, "Get me a coffee, quickly." It turns out that he didn't dial the pantry at all. The voice from the other side responded, "You fool. You've dialed the wrong extension. Do you know who you're talking to, Dumbo?" "No," replied the trainee. "It's the CEO of the company, you fool." The trainee pauses for a moment to think about an appropriate response. He shouts back, "And do you know who you are talking to, you fool?" "No," replied the CEO indignantly. "Good," replied the trainee, and puts down the phone. So one day Jack's wife asked him, "How was your golf game, dear?" "Well, I was hitting pretty well, but my eyesight's gotten so bad I couldn't see where the ball went." "Well, you're 75 years old now, Jack. Why don't you take my brother Scott along?" suggested his wife. "But he's 85 and doesn't even play golf anymore," protested Jack. "But he's got perfect eyesight. He could watch your ball," his wife pointed out. The next day, Jack teed off with Scott looking on. Jack swung, and the ball disappeared down the middle of the fairway. "Do you see it?" asked Jack. "Yup," Scott answered. "Well, where is it?" yelled Jack, peering off into the distance. "I forgot."